Hello, today is March the 25th, 2020, and this is Dr. Fryer with Casady School. This video is for middle and upper division students who are now engaged in remote learning or learning at home. And what I'd like to do is review with you our responsible use policy. And hopefully your teachers have linked to our responsible use policy in either your Google Classroom or My Casady, one of the learning management or learning platforms, interactive learning platforms that we're using during this time of remote learning. There are 20 different things that this responsible use policy says that you agree to. And there's also several things, I think 7, that you say you are understanding. And so what I want to encourage you to do overall is please download this, read this over with your parents. It's really important, especially as we are doing almost all of our interaction now over digital technology with remote learning, that we keep these things in mind. And that's why I wanted to just review this and talk just a little bit about what each part of these elements of the responsible use policy mean. So, in order to be a good digital citizen, I will, number 1, adhere to the Casady School Honor Code. It is so important that we use honesty and integrity in everything that we do. Even when you're registering for a website, make sure that you use your true date of birth. I know that when you're younger, sometimes there's a temptation to want to register for things and, oh, you have to be 13 to have that. Well, those are things that we need to follow. And so we always want to be honest when we're registering for websites, when we're representing ourselves online. We're not representing ourselves as someone else, but as ourselves. Second of all, keep private information or personal information private, including login information and passwords. This is so important. Your password is your password alone, and you can share that with your parents, but you should not share that with your friends. And I want to let you know that in this time of remote learning, it's possible that someone might make a bad choice and try to log in as someone else because they know their password. If you think your password has been compromised, meaning someone else has it and they've logged in to your Google account or something else, you can send an email to helpdesk@casady.org. And if you can't access your account, your parent or someone else can send an email on your behalf. And then you can get assistance. You can also call our technology emergency phone number, and that is 405-749-3170. And so either one of those ways, you can get assistance and help. The first thing we'll do if we think our password has been compromised is we will reset it. We will change the password, and that way anyone who has access using the old password will lose their access. Third, you want to be using only your first name and your last initial when you're collaborating online, unless expressly instructed otherwise by the teacher. And an example, Mr. Hermanson, our 8th grade history teacher, was just talking about how the metro libraries here in Oklahoma City are looking for people who will journal about their experiences during this COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic. That might be an example of where, with your permission and your parents' permission, maybe you will share some things with your first and last name. But generally, will only be first name and last initial, unless there's specific instructions that are different. I've already mentioned this a little bit. Number 4, only represent yourself as yourself. And this says, don't hide behind a persona or a false name. Now, we all have screen names, and we, have a special name on social media and websites like that. That's not what this is talking about. That's talking about when you are going to try to represent yourself as someone else, to pretend to be someone else. And that is not something that we're going to be doing as members of our Casady community. Number 5 is treating others with respect at all times, both online and offline. And I would also just have you think about when you'll get an adult involved, because there are situations and times that you will not feel comfortable confronting a person about, and it just may not be a situation that you can, but you know something's happening that's not right, and you need to get an adult involved. Please get your parent, talk to your advisor, talk to one of your teachers, talk to your division director, communicate with us. You can reach out to Dr. Baca McKinney or Ms. Clinton in our psychological services department. All of the staff and the teachers at Casady School are here to support you. And we know that sometimes it's important for adults to be involved in situations that are a little difficult. And so I want to encourage you to reach out at those times. Number 6, cease to communicate with people who ask me to cease. In other words, if someone does not want you emailing them, messaging them, they've communicated that, you need to respect that request. Number 7, respecting the work of others. That means giving credit when we get work and ideas from somewhere else, properly attributing that. But respecting the work of others also means their ideas, treating each other with respect as we're interacting online in a discussion board, in a live video conference, just like we would in class. Number 8, I've already mentioned actually, tell an adult if someone makes me feel uncomfortable or uses technology to hurt or harass me. I talked about that a little bit, but it's really, really important to keep this in mind, okay? There are some folks out there in the world who are hurting young people and who actually, for reasons that I don't think we understand completely, do that in a repeated way. And sometimes they do that by asking for pictures that are not appropriate. Sometimes they can be contacting you over a long period of time. There's different training programs that we've done at Casady and other organizations to try to help protect, to put up fences to try to keep those people away from you and away from our school. As we're in virtual learning though, the fences are different, right? We're not physically going to our school. And so that's why it is so important for you to keep in mind that you may be the person who needs to tell an adult to get somebody else involved. It may be you or it may be your friend who ends up getting in a situation where somebody is trying to get them or is getting them to do things they shouldn't do. And so those are critical situations, and that's where a trusted friend, oftentimes a peer, is the person who can help intervene and get some assistance. So get an adult involved in those situations. Number 9, refrain from hurting or harassing others or making others feel uncomfortable, right? We're not going to use these technologies to hurt others. I talk about using our technology powers for good and not for evil. That Spider-Man, thing. With great responsibility comes, or with great power comes great responsibility, and that's true with these technologies. Number 10, carefully examine an internet source before using it, choosing to use it in responsible ways which reflect positively on myself and Casady School. Hey, remember, we're all members of our community, and whether I'm wearing, and I don't have a name tag on right now for Casady, whether I'm wearing that name tag or not, people know that I work with Casady School. I work for Casady. You're a student, you go to Casady, so we represent our school, and it's so important to keep that in mind, both when we say things out loud or when we write things, whether it's on a piece of paper or it's electronically on some kind of website or app. Number 11, adhere to copyright laws by requesting the use of software or media produced by others, following fair use provisions of copyright law for online resources, books, and media not of my own creation. That's a really big one, and it means that we're going to basically respect the law. There is a very important part of our law called fair use. And hey, we may even do a separate video in the course of this remote learning time that talks a lot about what that means. One of the things it means is we can't take any piece of media, a song, a picture, a movie, and do whatever we want to with it. When we're doing things for an educational purpose, when we are not profiting from it, when we're limiting the access that people have, those are things which weigh in favor of fair use and saying, yes, you can do that. But even when you say you're doing it for class, that doesn't give you a complete blank check to do anything that you want. So if you have a question about copyright, in addition to asking your teachers, you have your librarians. I'm a resource here in our educational technology support area, and we would love to help you answer those kind of questions. You can send an email, by the way, to helpdesk@casady.org, and that's a place where you could get help with things like copyright questions if you have those. Number 12, suitably provide attribution for and cite online sources, books, and media, not of my own creation, and I will ask my teacher if I don't know how or I am unsure how to do this. So that means making a good bibliography. My favorite way right now to make a bibliography on my Mac computer is this program called Zotero. Zotero is free. It actually is a program that runs, but I'm able to make my citations for blog posts and articles that I write. If I'm going to do a more formal academic paper, I can do that. There's a lot of different ways. Beware whenever you're installing software that there's bad things that you can install, right? It can mess up your computer. Ask for assistance with that. And that's probably something that we should add to our support website, would be some resources for that. And so we will look at doing that, adding some of those resources and providing those for your teachers to use. Number 13, only search for, view, copy, send, or forward pictures, images, videos, or information that I would willingly associate with my name or willingly show my parents or guardians, my teacher, or the dean of students, okay? In other words, if you have something on your phone right now, okay, and it is not something that you would be comfortable showing Mr. Krosno or showing Ms. Zedlitz or Dr. Shear, it shouldn't be on your phone, right? And so you really need to make sure that the things that not only you possess, but the things that you're forwarding and you're sharing represent you well and that they represent our school well. Number 14, and this starts a whole series of ask for permission. Ask for and receive permission before you log in to another user's account or alter another person's files, all right? It's really important. And if by the way, you have a situation where you think your account's been compromised, I think I already mentioned this, what do? You're going to change your password if you can immediately do that. And if you can't, go ahead and contact our help desk at helpdesk@casady.org. A member of our technology team can help you. So in addition to asking for permission before you log into someone else's account or alter their files, before you buy, sell, or register for something online, get permission. Before you take pictures or make videos of anyone. This is huge, right? We have this conversation right now with the teenage daughters in our house. You know, when we take a picture, is it okay if I take this picture and I share it on Facebook? I know you're probably not sharing on Facebook, but there are different social media websites. Do not be taking a recording or a photo of a class you're having online and then posting that on a social media site, whether that's TikTok or Instagram or anywhere else, without permission, right? If you have permission and everybody who's in the picture says, yeah, that's fine, not only to take the picture, but how it's going to be shared, then you got a green light. But if you don't do it. Whenever you're forwarding pictures or videos, and then whenever you're using technology in classrooms, you're going to want to get permission first. If you're ever going to load software onto a school computer, you want to get permission for that. Okay, wow, 20 things, right? Those are the 20 things in our responsible use technology policy for middle and upper division that says we will do these things. Lastly, here are the things that we're going to say we understand, and there's 7 of these. Number 1, you understand that the school provides technology equipment and services for educational purposes, and educational purposes have priority. That's why sometimes at school there may be certain gaming sites or even websites like Netflix that we might limit access to, because we have to make sure when we're on campus that we share our internet connectivity and our bandwidth, and that the educational purposes for that are given priority. Second, the use of school technology is a privilege, not a right, and that's one that we can actually lose as a student. Third of all, the school determines what is acceptable or not acceptable in terms of a written statement, picture, video, song, artwork, program, etc. when it's on the school's equipment or services. Again, if you have something that you're not comfortable showing your parent or showing your division director, that shouldn't be on your device, and you certainly shouldn't be forwarding it to someone else. Number 4, your access to internet resources and use of technology resources owned by Casady is not private. Teachers, technology staff, and administrators may review my work and my activities at any time, including personal devices that are used to access the school network resources and are used at school. So this is pretty important, right? We live in a day where we have lots and lots of technology, but there are also ways in which we are all monitored, okay? I am monitored as an adult. There are certain search queries that you just don't want to be doing at all on any kind of device because people are monitoring those things. And I'm not saying this to alarm you. I'm saying this to be very honest and straightforward with you. When we're using school technology resources, when you're using your Gmail account, you're using any kind of video conferencing, it's all subject to monitoring, and we are accountable. We are responsible for what we do, and so we want to be thoughtful and careful with the things that we do, okay? 3 more, I'm almost done. Number 5, student-created content on the network and online might be seen and read by anyone in the world with access to the internet, including my teachers, parents, and peers. Basically, when you write and create something, it's possible that that's going to leave your control, right? So be thoughtful as you create and share things. And also, I want to say this, there are so many wonderful, wonderful things that you're creating and your peers and teachers are creating, and we want to share and celebrate those. But we're always going to do that by getting permission for people who are photographed and for whose work we're using, and we're going to do that in a responsible way, okay? Number 6, I and my family am financially responsible for the technology equipment I check out for use if it is damaged or lost. And lastly, it's my responsibility to abide by the terms and conditions of this responsible use policy and of all revisions, right? So we all have different responsibilities, but ultimately every single one of us is not only responsible for knowing all that stuff that I just talked about in our responsible use policy, but following it. So I hope you enjoy the time of remote learning. I know it's going to be challenging in a lot of ways, but I think there's going to be some huge value that we're all going to experience. And some of that is in the things that we're going to learn by respecting each other, by respecting those that we're learning with and our equipment and our school, and remembering who we represent, following our responsible use policy. I think we're going to be able to have a very constructive and I think productive time of remote learning. So if you have any questions about what I've talked about, feel free to email the help desk. Again, that email address is helpdesk@casady.org. Good luck with your remote learning.